Two bouts that were featured on Fight Pass. There were two Canadians, two Canadian prospects, 155 pounds. We saw Shane Campbell, who was unsuccessful in his UFC debut after taking the fight with John McDessie on short notice. But we do have to remember this guy is ultra experienced. You know, his mixed martial arts record may not show it, but he's had close to 100 Muay Thai fights, and it's that experience that served him very well in this fight against Silverio. He didn't get stressed. He knew that he would have his opportunities. He knew that his opponent Silverio would try to take him down. He stayed calm and he said, I've been working diligently on my wrestling and getting up abilities. How did he look to you?
He looked phenomenal. He looked absolutely phenomenal. He was one of the biggest underdogs on this card. We didn't necessarily agree with that, but we have that inside information of those 100 Muay Thai fights. 100's a lot. So, and that kid looked so good. Everyone kind of, if you studied him, if you scouted him, you'd think he's just a Thai fighter. I think Silverio approached it that way. Silverio did get the first takedown, but as it went on, Shane looked phenomenal on the ground. He looked amazing with his own wrestling. He took Silverio down a couple times and really advanced stuff. Cool outside trips, off the wizard takedowns, like very high level stuff. Been training with David Lee out at Toshido on the West Coast, and man, that was a phenomenal fight.
Shane Campbell believes that he was built for combat, and it seems to be the case. He said he never really gets too stressed out in there because he was designed for this. And again, he attributes his success to the fact that he is able to stay calm. Is that an important element for combat?
You know what? It was interesting. You said there were two prospects, and Misha Serkinov is the other one. Two quality wins, two great performances, but two very different guys. In Misha, you have an elite athlete, a super talent, a guy who's genetically good and really good in a couple of areas, particularly on the ground. But he's never faced anyone very tough yet. He's faced, upper level guys, and in his debut, he faced a guy with only one win over a guy with a winning record. And then on the other hand, Shane was facing the toughest of the tough. Both had good performances, but it's interesting to see how different both guys have been brought along.
Misha Serkinov used his grappling abilities to control, and then went for submissions, but got the job done with the ground and pound. Serkinov says now the goal is to get better training partners. He knows he's now playing with the big dogs, and the goal is to make sure you're prepared when you face some of the animals at 205 pounds.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. We've all known how good he is, how talented he is, how genetically awesome he is. Shane had to come up and fight the toughest of the tough his whole career and learn everything he needed to know about himself so that when he got taken into his worst area, he could still win the fight. Misha had a perfect fight for a guy debuting, fought a guy who was not as good as some guys he's fought before. This was not his toughest opponent, but Misha was his opponent's toughest opponent. So it was a perfect fight for Misha to get to do that, and you saw him take it smartly where he was best and win the fight. And it's really great to hear that he knows he's got to raise the level of his training, because when you have that much skill, that much good genetics, the sky's the limit. You just have to do everything you got to do to be the best you can.
We definitely will keep an eye on Misha Serkinov. Back to you guys in studio.